No, it's just, the only thing I use it for is this.
Yeah.
I don't use it for anything else but this, you know? But, yeah, like.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the December 22nd legislative session of the Salisbury City Council. This evening, we are 2 days from Christmas Eve. We have 2 days left in Hanukkah. We're 3 days from Christmas morning. So my Christmas present to everyone is to promise an efficient meeting. We'll get through this as quickly as possible. I know everyone wants to be with their families this week, but we thank everyone for being here with us this evening. We have, is Dr. William Warren with us this evening? No? Okay. All right. He may be coming late. What I'm going to ask everyone to do then, if they don't mind, is to rise with me for a moment of silence, and we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Spies. We also have with us this evening some guests who are going to make a presentation, our community organization presentation this evening. I'm going to go ahead and ask Sarah Rain to step forward from First Saturday, new Salisbury event. And Mr. Rain, if you wouldn't mind pulling your chair up there, I'm going to slide this toward you. Ms. Rain, the floor is yours, and Ms. Halka.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I'm Sarah Rain. This is Sarah Halcott. I'm the co-chair. She's the vice chair of the First Saturday Committee. My husband, Ben Rain, is a co-chair as well. And we've got some committee members. Joey Gilkerson should be coming in. He's a little bit late. Dave Gaudette, one of our committee members. And Lee and Connie from the Arts and Entertainment District Committee. So we're here to talk to you tonight about First Saturday. Next slide. What is First Saturday and how is it different from Third Friday? That's a question that we've been getting a lot. How are you any different from Third Friday? Well, officially, First Saturday is a new monthly music event set in Salisbury's downtown that aims to provide a free family-friendly experience for locals, while also promoting local business, tourism growth, and community involvement through music and celebration. We're different from Third Friday in that our main focus is a local band who is paid for their services. The focus is really on performing arts rather than visual arts. However, next slide, there will be a visual arts element, and Sarah Halcott's going to tell you a little bit about that.
We're hoping to create a small venue space for a few, maybe 10 to 15 artists who are fine artists, so that we can not only give them a space to show and sell their work, but also attract a wider audience. Now, we're not going to be on the same level as Third Friday with covering the entire plaza with all of our artists, but we are going to handpick. We prefer really good artists who are going to showcase their work to work with us.
All right. Next slide. So great news. The First Saturday event is an all-volunteer effort, a downtown economic development initiative, and a project of the Salisbury Arts and Entertainment District Committee. We are going to fall under the same umbrella as all of those great downtown events, and we're really excited about that. So thank you to Connie and Lee for that. Next slide. If you can see, this is a map of the downtown area. Down at the bottom, there's the GOB, and you see North Division Street. Our plan, this is our setup, our plan is to have the main stage on North Division Street, facing Main Street. And we would block off North Division Street at Church and at Main. We're not gonna block Main Street, we don't wanna do that. And then you can see there's a vendor area up top. That is where we will sell merchandise and have some community organizations set up some tables. We've got a sponsor area on the other side of the street, and we'll get into our sponsorship packages in just a moment. And then a visual and performance art area, and that is where the arts market will be, and also where we will eventually have some different types of performing artists. In between the vendor and the sponsor areas is where seating will be. It will be BYOC, bring your own chair. So, next slide. First Saturday, we're hoping to start off, have our first event on April 4th, 2015, and then have 7 events in 2015. You can see that July is not scheduled yet because the first Saturday in July is actually July 4th. So we're not sure if we're gonna have it on that day or if we're going to move it to a different Saturday. We're gonna put some feelers out and maybe get up with the people from Red, White, and Boom about that. And our time slot is 4 to 7 p.m. Next slide. How will this affect downtown restaurants and other businesses? Obviously, this is going to drive people to the downtown. We would like to promote this as dinner and a show and encourage local downtown restaurants to have carry-out specials so that people can grab dinner and come and set up maybe a picnic style and watch the band while they eat. Or it's gonna end at 7 p.m. so you could grab dinner after the show is over. So we're gonna get some relationships with the downtown restaurants. Dave and his wife Allison are gonna be working on that for us. And also we're going to be approaching the restaurants and businesses about being our free water sponsors every month. Well, we have 1 per month. And that will be just handing out free bottles of water to the attendees. It's gonna be outside, it's gonna be hot. We wanna make sure that everybody is hydrated. And this is a good opportunity, this is a good marketing opportunity for these businesses. Next slide. Will there be alcohol? No, at least not for the first year. We're going to see how it goes and just go from there. You know, this is a brand new event, we're just taking baby steps. Next slide. Some goals that we have, as I said before, we would like to incorporate more performing artists, and that would be belly dancers, you know, you see them at Third Friday, maybe clowns, and they can just sort of float through the crowd or be over in the arts area. We would also like to invite community organizations to come down and participate. We've already sort of talked to the zoo about it, and they're excited about setting something up. You know, they can bring those the owls and hand out information. And then a big goal will be to raise enough money to purchase a sound system, because we feel that we're going to need our own sound system eventually. We're going to start off the first year requiring that the first Saturday bands have their own. Next slide. How will we pay for this? Next slide. So I spent about 1.5 years working in Georgetown, Delaware as a reporter, and while I was there, the town clerk, mayor, and a few other people from the town got together and decided to start having weekly music events throughout the summer in an underutilized park on North Bedford Street, right in the heart of their downtown. And the idea was to bring the community together, start using this underutilized park, sort of take back our park, take back the night sort of thing. And the way that they paid for it was they got sponsors from local businesses. However, the first season, they had 2 or 3 events that were sponsored by the town. Once people from the community saw how successful it was, how many people it drew, they ended up with too many sponsors, which is great. They've also been able to build their own stage. They repurposed a tractor trailer and added lights to it, and also an LED sign that runs the name of the sponsor for that week the entire time throughout the entire show, which is pretty cool. But you can see, this is a screenshot from their website, and it lists the band, the sponsor, and a few examples. Fulton Bank was a sponsor for June 26. Senator Brian Pettyjohn and Representative Ruth Briggs King, they were a sponsor for June 19. So they get businesses, they get politicians, families, individuals. Next slide. These are the sponsorship levels that we've pulled together, and we're starting off with a gold sponsorship, which is the top sponsorship at $1,000. We'll be looking for one of those sponsorships per event, and you can see what the sponsors get in return for their investment. Gold sponsor is our big sponsor for the day, stage naming rights, signage on the stage, sponsor table by the stage, inclusion in all advertising, and then it goes down from there. So we'll be posting this on our Facebook page. Next slide. The sponsorships will pay for the band. Obviously, the price of the band is going to vary depending on the number of people that are in it, as well as how large of a draw they have. And then marketing, we've sort of estimated marketing such as advertising and printing at $400. Merchandise, we estimated it at $500 per event, but merchandise is also going to be a revenue generator. Obviously, we don't know how much that's going to be yet. And then we also know that we're going to need to rent a generator because there are no outlets in the area where the stage is going to be set up. So it's looking like that will be around $50, and actually Ben pointed out to me the other night that that might be more because we need to factor in the cost of fuel. And then $50 for miscellaneous. Next slide. We're also going to have some startup costs. We want to get some signage made. We want the yard signs that Third Friday has. We're thinking about getting those big flags.
Wacky waving inflatable arm tube men.
Arm flailing. Almost.
Those flags that Riverside Pharmacy has one. They're tall, and we put one on either side of the stage, and then on the stage itself will be a banner from the sponsor. And then we're going to need to put some money into merchandise, advertising, printing. So the way that we are envisioning to cover this is to have a kickoff event, hopefully in February, and we're still trying to nail down the venue and the exact date. But we've already gotten a few bands who said that they would do it for free. And we're going to have a silent auction, 50-50. So stay tuned for more on that. Next slide. Who is First Saturday? We're just a group of young people who live in Salisbury and love the town and want to see more things happen in the downtown. That's not even all of us because a few people couldn't make it to that meeting. So we meet once a month at Mayabella's. That's where we've been meeting. Next. If you haven't already, please go to our Facebook page and like us, and also share our page and encourage other people to like us. You can also find on our Facebook page our contact information, and I'll be posting the information about our sponsorships. So if anybody is interested in that, they can find that on our Facebook page. Next slide. How can the city help? We've already had a meeting with the mayor and department heads to sort of gauge what we would need from the city. And what we got out of that meeting was Barbara Duncan told us that she would allow us a couple of police officers, just like she does for Third Friday. We'll also be getting some volunteers to do security as well. And then Public Works, we are hoping to get from them the barricades for the street and extra trash cans, because if this is going to be dinner and a show, we're going to need someplace to put trash. And we are going to scour the area after the event is over, the volunteers will, to make sure that there's no litter, because that's the absolute last thing that we want. Next. Questions?
Just a comment and a suggestion. Comment. seen a lot of communities that branch beyond the one, second Saturday, first Friday, whatever, event. So I think this is a really smart step for us as a community. I applaud all of you for taking the initiative, and also the Arts and Entertainment District Commission under Lee and Connie's leadership for being willing to take on this additional volunteer effort. So very impressive, and thank you all. A suggestion is to maybe look into media sponsors as well, specifically. Look into radio, TV, other types of media sponsors that specifically could provide you some avenues for advertising.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Definitely.
Are there comments or questions from council?
Looking forward to seeing this evolve.
Mr. Heath?
Yes, first I want to thank you guys for taking up the gauntlet. It's a great idea, and I'm sure you'll be successful. I didn't hear in there, how long of each day, define your day?
Hours of operation.
Yeah, hours of operation.
Well, the hours are going to be 4 to 7. We'd obviously would need a few hours beforehand to set up the stage and all the tables, so maybe you close it off. Yeah, and some time to break down.
The public advertising before the
During that time, to build on that question, during that time, would pedestrians still be able to move in and out to go to the businesses on Division Street, for example?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic, though, I don't know.
Yeah, pedestrians.
But
not-
pedestrians
not
at least would be able to get into like Cake Art, the SU Art
Yes.
Galleries, Brick Room, et cetera.
Yeah.
Anything else from council? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Next item on our agenda is the adoption of the legislative agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the legislative agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second? All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the legislative agenda as presented, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Ms. Nichols? Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
On the consent agenda this evening, we have the December 1st, 2014 work session minutes, the December 8th regular meeting minutes. We have a manufacturing exemption request for Purdue Foods LLC for their equipment purchased in 2013. Since the request came within 2 years of the purchase of their equipment, they are eligible for up to 5 years exemption. So over the next 5 years, they will benefit from this exemption by a total savings of $37,603 in personal property taxes for their 2013 equipment purchases. And we have resolution number 2466, authorizing the chief of police to sign a memorandum of understanding between the Salisbury Police Department and the Maryland Office of Highway Safety to accept grant funding for 4 separate traffic safety programs, each with their own conditions and grant funding amounts. And that concludes the consent agenda.
All those in favor of the...
One comment.
I'm sorry, you have a question?
Question, actually.
Ms. Mitchell.
I think I brought this up with somebody, but I don't remember who. I would like for us to have a discussion about automating the manufacturing tax exemptions, getting that.
That's on the...
Okay, so I did bring it.
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
did.
remember who I brought
Yeah.
it to,
It's-
or if I did, if
It's
I
on the
directed it.
pending items list now.
Okay, so it's on there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Ms. Nichols. I'll entertain a motion to approve the award of bids.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council. We have 3 items this evening. The first is an award of bid for contract 115-15. It's the design build for Salisbury Fire Department, new station number 2. The City of Salisbury Internal Services Department, Procurement Division, received a request from the Salisbury Fire Department to solicit bids for contract 115-15, design build for Salisbury Fire Department's new Station 2. This project will furnish all labor, materials, and equipment necessary for the construction of a new fire station at the intersection of Naylor and Brown Streets. The procurement department followed standard bid practices by advertising in the Daily Times, on the City of Salisbury's website, utilizing the city's vendor list, and advertising on the State of Maryland's website, eMaryland Marketplace. A total of 4 vendors submitted a bid by the due date and time of Wednesday, November 26, 2014, at 2:30 p.m. Those contractors were Harkins Contracting, $3,661,220. GGI Builders, $4,225,582. Scheibel Construction, $4,272,000. And Gardner and Gardner, $4,329,018. Harkins Contracting Incorporated was the apparent low bidder. After a thorough review of the proposals by Design Atlantic, the architect of record for the project, and the Internal Services Department Procurement Division, Harkins Contracting was determined to be the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. The city's past construction project experiences with Harkins Contracting, in addition to positive reference checks, support the recommendation of both Design Atlantic and the Salisbury Fire Department to award the bid to Harkins Contracting. There are sufficient funds to cover the award in the following account, which is noted in the packet. The Procurement Department requests council's approval to award contract 111-15, design build for Salisbury Fire Department, New Station 2, to Harkins Contracting in the amount of $3,661,220.
Ms. Miller, what services does this include? It says it's a design build, but the primary vendor is, in each case is the general contractor. And there's an architect of record shown at Design Atlantic, but it's a design build contract, so are there subcontractors that were included in a team, or I'm trying to understand what services are being rendered exclusive to the bid amount that we were seeing.
Sure. And Chief, do you want to speak more to that? Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer,
Good evening.
and good evening. To be specific, the Design Atlantic was the original designer of the concept. So they took the plans up to about 20%,
Okay.
which prepared it to go out for bid. Harkins, and it's slipping my mind right now, but Harkins and an architectural firm have teamed for the design build project, which will finish out the plans and specifications under what we've proposed. The architect will finish the design as it relates to all the mechanicals and all the other build-out materials, and then Harkins is the construction company.
So there was a sort of a team applicant with architects additionally.
There absolutely was.
As part of the team.
And I wish I had the
Design
architect.
portion.
I wish I had the architect.
It's AWB.
There it is.
Okay.
AWB.
All right,
So does that help?
very helpful. Thank you. Mr. Yee? No? Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Miller.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
The second awarded bid this evening is for contract 10613, which is Parkside High School Regional Lift Station, and the rebid for 101-14 Mill Street Pumping Station improvements. The City of Salisbury Internal Services Department Procurement Division received a request from the Salisbury Public Works to solicit bids for contract 106-13 Parkside High School Regional Lift Station, and to rebid contract 101-14 as Mill Street Pumping Station improvements only. This combined project will construct a new lift station at Parkside High School and also make modifications to the existing Mill Street Pumping Station. The Procurement Department followed standard bid practices by advertising in the Daily Times, on the City of Salisbury's website, utilizing the city's vendor list, and advertising on the State of Maryland's website, eMaryland Marketplace. A total of 5 vendors submitted a bid by the due date and time of Tuesday, August 26th at 2:30 p.m. Baring Construction, $1,782,000. George & Lynch, $1,887,500. M2 Construction, $2,055,000. JJID, $2,069,000, $69,000, excuse me, and Harper and Sons, $2,282,930. All bids came in higher than the estimated construction budget of $1,579,655, and thus Salisbury Public Works value engineered the project to reduce costs without sacrificing necessary work or componentry. The three lowest responsible and responsive bidders were given the opportunity to submit a best and final offer, and the city was presented with the following proposals. Baron Construction in the amount of $1,721,692. George and Lynch in the amount of $1,756,126. And then the third vendor, M2 Construction, was unresponsive. Baron Construction was the lowest responsible and responsive bidder for the best and final offer. The Salisbury Public Works Department felt that further reductions to the scope of work would negatively impact the project, and thus a budget amendment has been done to complete the revised scope of work, less all deducts as noted in the best and final offer. There are sufficient funds to cover the purchase in the following noted accounts in your packet. The Procurement Department requests council's approval to award contract 106-13, Parkside High School Regional Lift Station, and rebid contract 101-14, Mill Street Pumping Station upgrades to Baring Construction in the amount of $1,721,692.
For council's reference, do you have the, and even if we can find it afterward, the ordinance number for the budget amendment? Can we, it doesn't have to be tonight. You don't, okay.
Okay.
For council's reference, Ms. Nichols, can you send that out after the meeting?
I sure can.
Thank you. And just so we understand, the revised scopes of work, were there revisions both to the Parkside Lift Station and the Mill Street Pump Station? Ms. Pollock?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, there were, and I'll touch on them very briefly. On the Mill Street project, we revised the type of pumps. So there was a specified pump, and then we had an alternative that we would accept, and we ended up going with the alternative in the rebid, in the value engineering. At Parkside, we deleted a spare pump, so we took that out of the contract. We deleted a sewer gas monitor. Both of those things are things we can look at budgeting to buy in the future. And the most significant change for the Parkside station was that we were going to connect our water service connection across Beagland Park Drive. So it was significant traffic control, pavement restoration, and that type of thing. So instead, we're tying in an alternative location for the water service. So that saved most of the money on the project.
Good questions, comments?
So all of that you took out for for Parkside and I guess I'm curious because that sounds like a lot of work, but I'm only seeing $60,000 difference.
Sure. The pump itself, the spare pump was about $17,000. The gas equipment was $4,000. On Mill Street, changing the pump was about $25,000 in itself. And then the rest of the work, which comes out to be about $13,000, was the change in the water main. So it was right about $60,000 was the value engineering.
And what, I guess, I'm looking at if the secondary pump, we've run into issues before by not having that backup pump and having backups
So this,
as a result. Putting that in after the fact, what's the cost of that versus doing it at build?
so this station still has redundancy. It's a duplex submersible station, so it's designed to run off of one pump. There's always that backup. So they switch which pump is the lead and which pump is the lag to come on later. So the station has built-in redundancy with the pumps. It also will have a stationary generator, so there's backup power to turn on. This was actually to buy a third spare pump that we would put on the shelf. So we were going sort of the extra distance for redundancy. So it's not necessarily common to always have an extra shelf spare. And with the redundancy in the pumps as it is, we would be okay if we had to bring in another pump or hook up one of our portable pumps to that station if we had to. So we're comfortable in what we have. This was going a little bit extra, but as I said, that was about a $17,000 item, so we felt like that was something we could cut and try to buy in the future. Thank you.
Other questions? Comments?
Just a comment, if my math is right, the budget, or the bid originally came in almost 13% higher than what we projected. That seems like an awful lot.
It is, the bids came in much higher than originally projected. I think one of the reasons this was designed some years ago, and it was a slightly older quote, and I think you're seeing from these bids that there's more competition right now. The contractors have a little bit more work than a few years ago when we first got that construction estimate. But as you can see, the way the bids were, the spread on the bids, we didn't feel like rebidding
Yeah,
was
the
going to
spread's
help
not
us. Yeah.
Roughly how long ago was the initial,
This project was actually, it was a design contract that went hand in hand with the Naylor Mill lift station.
Wow.
Which, you know, that's been, so I believe it was a 2008 design contract. And then it was waiting for funding. And as you know, we were able to fund this with litigation proceeds, was the decision this year. So we've applied multiple years to the state to get funding for this project. We were never successful because there is a large growth component. So this design had been waiting for some time to hit the street.
in that case, I'm almost not surprised that it's more than 13,000, or 13% rather. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Last item this evening is a surplus item from the Salisbury Police Department. More bicycles. The City of Salisbury Internal Services Department Procurement Division received a request from the Salisbury Police Department to declare 35 bicycles surplus. All items were found, forfeited, or unclaimed, and attempts to return items to known owners have been unsuccessful. It's the request of the Salisbury Police Department that items are either sold at auction or donated locally. A detailed list of the bicycles is included. The Procurement Division requests Council's approval to declare these bicycles surplus and allow the Police Department to dispose of them as necessary.
Major Cole, quick question for you on these bikes. Evening.
Good evening.
The 35 bikes, I saw that they're going to be, or the request is for them to be sold on the online auction. The one thing I wanted to ask, if you could follow up on or look into is, when Colonel Mindshine was here with the last set of bikes, there was some discussion about the Lower Eastern Shore Health Alliance and whether or not some of those bikes could be provided to them. They were looking for bikes to give to some kids that they had access to that they were working with. I was wondering if we'd made any progress on that. Maybe Mr. Stevenson, you could look into that. But I mean, I have no problem with them going to the online auction, but you know, something to look into if there's a way to distribute those locally through that organization or another organization.
Certainly, I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah, my question was along the same lines, because we've been doing this, I've been doing this for a few years, twice a year, I think now, and the same question keeps coming up. Who, are we donating any of them? How many of them are we donating? I'd love to see some of that information, or are they all just being sold? Chief Duncan had mentioned, I had the discussion with her some time ago, that some of them are suitable to donate to someone and some aren't.
Correct.
But I'm curious, of those that are, you know, what's the number out of these 35 that are suitable for donation, and who are we giving them to? Because I get a lot of questions from community organizations that stop the violence in a lot of different places. Where are they going?
Right.
No one seems to know who's getting them, and I just like to be able to say, you know, is there a list they can put their name on that they can request, or how are we doing that?
Sure, I'll follow up on that and get that information back to you.
Okay.
I, for one, would prefer that, you know, we accommodate the public first, because the amount that these sell for at auction is just
Negligible.
Correct.
nothing almost, yeah. Secondly, I'd like to ask that, we have the inventory list in front of us here, and the property numbers. Could we be, the next time we see these lists, could you add another column of the recovery date
Sure.
of the item? That
Absolutely.
might be helpful to us sometimes.
Ms. Shields?
I have one question. They used to have Earn a Bike. Y'all still do that?
We did not do that this past summer.
You didn't do it this past summer? Because I know that they supposed to went well. But I know
Correct.
we had a problem with kids.
I believe,
with
they earned new bicycles.
Huh?
I believe the kids earned new bicycles.
Oh, they're on,
Correct.
okay, all right. So if you did sell those, you could probably purchase bicycles for, would you purchase new bicycles for the Earn a Bike program?
I'll have to check to see what the amount of money that we get from
Yeah,
those.
okay.
Well, this money goes into the general fund, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Certainly, we could match those, funds or.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that's the kind of thing that I would like to see go back into a program that would help,
Like earn a bike.
right?
Absolutely.
this might be another opportune time to remind folks to lock their bikes up. Yeah, and get them registered with the
Get them
police
registered with
department, which is
us.
free and easy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sir. Okay. Any other questions, comments from council?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Thank you very much.
Everything. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the award of bids as presented, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, next item on our agenda is resolution number 2467, declaring December 26th, 2014 as an additional 2014 holiday for city employees. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2467.
So
moved.
moved, second. You can't do both.
Mr. Stevenson, I got it.
Councilwoman Shields got both there, I think, so. Good evening, council. Resolution 2467, as council president stated, is a resolution of the city council of the city of Salisbury, Maryland, declaring December 26, bless you, 2014 as an additional 2014 holiday for city employees, whereas the city of Salisbury Council wishes to show its appreciation to city employees for their hard work and dedication in serving the citizens of the city by giving them extra time to spend with their family and friends and to enjoy the holiday season. Now therefore be it resolved that the city council expresses its wishes for a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season to all city employees, to all city residents, and to all city businesses. Thank you.
Right. One question for you.
Yes, sir.
Now, one thing I wanted to make sure of is any employee who had previously requested time off to use their leave days for this, will they have that day
It'll be
awarded
returned.
back to them?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Shields.
Public safety, I know some, police officers will be working on the 26th. Will they get another?
They'll
day?
get the holiday on a different date.
Somewhere.
They'll be able to use it at a different time.
I would just like to say, I've only been here since September, but I will tell you that I was pleasantly surprised at the professionalism, the friendliness, and the ability of the individuals that I've come in contact with in my short period of time. And I'm not the easiest person to please, and I know everyone knows what pleases me is metrics and thinking ahead and all those things. But we're very lucky to have the staff that we've got and the employees that we have working for the city. They do an excellent job, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm proud to support them in this.
Thank you.
Mr. Spies?
We have nothing scheduled for a change in January 2nd, do we? That Friday?
Not right now, but if the councilman is suggesting that we do that, I'd be certainly happy to
Seeing
prepare
smiles
that
on the
resolution
faces.
right away. No, sir, it's not been discussed.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Ms. Shields?
I'm just saying ditto. I get along with all the employees, so, I try my best.
No, I think that this is one of the easy ways for us to show our appreciation to employees. We can't give Christmas bonuses, we can't give new cars to everybody, as Oprah would do. We can't do a lot of the things that you would see in the corporate world or in the private sector. But we certainly do appreciate all of our employees, and this this is a small token that shows that appreciation. That means that they get 3 days, or 2 days in a row anyway, that they don't have to get out of bed early. So for me, that's great. That's a great way to show your appreciation, and I hope that all the employees enjoy the day. And if you do get up early, you can go maybe grab some of those after Christmas sales, but if not, enjoy the day either way, and Merry Christmas.
I'll be brief. The hard work to compensation ratio is higher nowhere than among our city employees. You serve the capital of the Eastern Shore well, and we are grateful to you. And this is, I know, a small way to say thank you, but thank you. And I applaud the mayor for taking the initiative and announcing that this was going to be a holiday, and I thank council colleagues for being behind it 100%. And again, as Ms. Mitchell said, Merry Christmas. As Mr. Heath said, you deserve it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You haven't voted yet, but I guess I'll wait until you do that. Make it official.
Yeah. With that, all those in favor, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye.
Thank you. On behalf of all the hard-working, dedicated men and women of the city of Salisbury, we do appreciate very much your willingness to give us this additional time off to spend with our families. It is true that we do work very hard, and your willingness to give us this additional time off is much appreciated. So thank you very much, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we will be working. Council members will be working.
Always, right?
Some council.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2307. This is second reading. This is a FY15 budget amendment to appropriate additional funding to fire department personnel. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2307.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Tillman.
Okay, this is the second reading of ordinance 2307, an ordinance of the city approving an amendment of the FY15 general fund budget to appropriate funding for additional fire department personnel. Whereas the fire department has a need for an additional 4 firefighter emergency medical technicians, and whereas there are insufficient funds available in the FY15 fire department budget to fund the additional 4 positions, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, that the city's fiscal year 2014 general fund budget be and hereby is amended as follows, with an increase in the current surplus available account 01000-469810 by $160,611, and an increase in the fire department budget by the equivalent amount.
Questions or comments from council? We do have one request for comment from public. Ms. Gibson.
Kate Gibson, resident of Salisbury. 2 years ago, we got a SAFE grant that allowed us to have 12 extra firefighters. At the time, it was considered perhaps more than we needed, rather like the $1 million fireboat, more than we needed. I understand that 11 of those folks on that grant are now part-time. So we've hired more people than we had 2 years ago. Now we come back and we want 4 more. Well, I understand the population has probably grown some in 2 years. And yes, the structures are another 2 years older. I think this is excessive. I think, and yes, I know there's overtime, but I've often found overtime has equally to do with scheduling and how you're utilizing your staff. It's not just always an answer of more staff. These folks have got to be paid for. We're paying for 11 part-time people. Now we're back to needing 4 additional. That's fine if it can all be done within the current budget. Next year, when we have to rebudget, I certainly hope that you all haven't spent so much money that you think the taxpayers are going to tolerate another increase in property tax. People don't have it. You think they do? No, they don't. Let me tell you how bad some of the elderly are here. They own a home. They may take in a boarder, maybe 2 boarders, in order to keep it. and in their 70s and 80s are working part-time. I have another neighbor who went to the hospital. Yeah, you have Medicare. Unless they admit you to the hospital in observation. These folks have both worked all their lives, saved all their lives. They had the humiliating experience of having no money and having to go and prove their income so that the hospital would have to write it off. That's one of many stories. People in this area don't have a lot of money. You can't keep going to an empty well. You can't do it. Yeah, there are some that do have money and have plenty of money. You have to start considering the elderly. You really do. So this is fine if you're going to do this, which I presume you are. But I hope next year to pay for it, you're not going to come back and ask for any increases in property tax. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, any other comments from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Was there any opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2308. This is also for second reading. This is the FY15 budget amendment for additional fees for, additional funding to support the shore transit circulator program known as the Downtown Trolley. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2308.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Tillman?
Whereas the FY 2015 budget ordinance included a $16,000 appropriation to support the Shore Transit Circular Program, and whereas after further review, an additional $21,000 is needed to support the program during FY 2015, and whereas the Shore Transit Circular Program has been determined to be extremely beneficial to downtown, and whereas the city's FY 2015 budget does not contain an appropriation sufficient to cover this expense, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, that the city's FY 2014 general fund budget be and is hereby amended as follows: an increase in the current surplus available 01000-469,810 by $21,000, an increase in the community appropriations account 12500-569,222 by an equivalent amount.
Okay. Any comments from council or questions?
Yes, we'd asked for some additional information. I was expecting to see some, we did get the hourly numbers from Brad Belichico, but.
We got the hourly numbers.
Right, we did get those. We haven't gotten anything from the downtown businesses or any of that. Is that still being worked on? Are they still?
I have no idea.
I'd have to check with Ms. Korzakowski. I don't know that she has requested that information to date, but I'll certainly follow up.
And also, you know, the police calls on one.
Yes, ma'am, I do have those.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Good, good.
Okay.
Yes. I would like to see the revenue from the advertising on the trolley as well. We don't really have good numbers for that. At this point.
Remember, we have none.
Nothing.
We talked about doing it in the future.
None is not enough, though, is what, we need to ramp that program up and make this, if not entirely self-sufficient, then at least partially self-sufficient. I know that the public is looking at this with kind of a skewed eye and saying, well, is this worth our money? And to build downtown and improve it, I'm willing to stretch and say, yes, this is, but, are we going to be looking at this every single quarter? And I don't think people are really going to be too happy if we continue to make this a taxpayer-funded event. I think that we need to make it pay for itself and get the people who benefit from it directly, which are the downtown merchants and everybody on the route, to pony up and make this happen. It's not an outrageous amount for all those vendors to at least give a little bit towards. So that's my 2 cents worth there.
Okay.
Did you have an opportunity to talk to Brad about the changes to the Saturday route, or dropping off the Saturday route? And what
I did. They would be opposed to dropping Saturday, but would be open to adding the 5 to 7 hours. So if we wanted to add the 5 to 7 hours.
They think it's achievable, given the fact that this is a $5,000 increase funding's already there. It's
Right,
their
so she
opinion.
was gonna paint the buses and do the signs.
And Salisbury University has said they'll pay to paint the buses, and Shore Transit has said they'll pay to put in the signs, which was the original
The addition.
agreement anyway.
Right, right,
Which
right.
is what the city said we wanted from them anyway.
My reservation originally was besides the fact from the surplus, but I think my question really was, is there a return on investment on this? Having done an informal survey of ridership on 2 evenings, I was pleasantly surprised that the lowest amount that a person spent was $10, and most of the people were between $20 and $30 in terms of spending downtown when they went downtown. If you take those numbers and you look at it, we're probably pretty close to a break even, but over the total period, I'd like to see the actual numbers from the people who own the businesses, but I feel a little more comfortable now than I did last time with going along with the program.
One of the ways that can be achieved, and one of the things that I think we should encourage, and I know we've talked about all the different ways that we can encourage, which if we're going to encourage anything, it's going to take a little more active partnership between us and Shore Transit, which is something that I think is achievable. Maybe even having some meetings between the administration and Shore Transit at some point, or some representative of the administration and Shore Transit, maybe even including the Traffic and Safety Advisory Committee and something like that, or the Central City District Committee, and having some conversations. But one of the things that I was thinking about is if we encouraged a ticketing of some sort, so that people could actually get a ticket, even if it was the cheap, tear-off tickets, just something that could show a local business, hey, can I get, or I'm handing over my chip that says I rode the trolley, and that could be collected and just be some indicator of, that could be stapled to a receipt or something.
Yeah, or if they did, like Evo does a 10% if you ride your bike in, maybe
Right.
they give a 5% discount if you rode the trolley, and because that would be noted on their receipts, it would have a way to track it.
The bike-friendly businesses, we could certainly have trolley-friendly businesses, or transit-friendly businesses. So maybe moving forward from here, we really do need to have a conversation about how we interface with Shore Transit, and maybe pull Salisbury University into that partnership. Maybe it's done by, I know this has been largely completed on a handshake, but maybe we need a detailed MOU to move forward. I mean, this is the city's first foray into transit in decades. I know we used to have Salisbury Transit, but this is our first foray back into even a little bit of funding for transit in a long time. So without the benefit of expertise and experience, perhaps we need to lay the ground rules out in black and white.
No, I'm just thinking, if we're gonna if we were to try to expand this and we were applying for a grant, we would need measurable objectives.
Mm-hmm.
We would need to know how are you gonna tell who's riding it, what they're spending, those kinds of things. And we would have to come up with these in advance. So I think as we're doing this is our first year and we need some time to judge that data. But we need to be thinking about, if we're gonna look at putting this in next year's budget for the next 2 semesters, the next school year, we need to know what those objectives are, make sure that the people that are gonna be able to give us those back are on board.
Yep.
Because they're the ones it's benefiting, and if they're not willing to give us that information back, then what are we doing it for?
Absolutely.
I want to say that, comment I have to make, I am concerned that we're bringing college students down here to drink. But also, since we're partnering with Shore Transit, I think we need to talk with them for them to be more, what can I say, people going to work. Because I constantly hear the difficulty with the scheduling of the buses. And when they go down to Calvert Street, they have to pay twice to get to their job. They don't have a direct route to their job. especially like the Ocean City. They have to go all the way out to the one-stop job market and pay another fee, because I called, and they have to pay another $3. They pay $3 to get to one-stop job market. They pay another fee to get to Ocean City, then they have to pay another bus route to get to their job when they get off the bus. To me, it used to be, I know, a transfer. So it should be accommodating to working people who are trying to get to work. And I think we need to work out a schedule, because I always think we have something to do with shore transit. But in our discussion, not only should we be getting, talking to them about the entertainment side of getting people downtown, we also should try to be accommodating for the working, and I would classify working poor people, because most of them are working poor. So I like to see that in the future. Not saying it'd be overnight, but something we need to negotiate accommodation where these people have to pay all this money to get to work.
Unfortunately, federal funding for transit,
Yeah.
for rural transit systems,
It's all.
always getting cut, always getting.
And it's not just the federal level, the transfers went away. 2 years ago, the county council cut $100,000 from the shore transit budget. The unfortunate part was that was a $100,000 match for state money, so it cost them $200,000. And they had to minimize and reroute a lot. They had to eliminate some routes. We had to eliminate transfers. We had periods of time where we did dollar rides, and those had to go away because of the restrictions and the shrinking pot of money from the federal and the state levels, but also from the local level. So make sure you're talking to your representatives and about the need to get these people to work. We want everybody working and contributing, but they have to be able to get there. And that's one of the few ways that we have to be able to do that in this area.
Absolutely. We'll make a note that we will work with the administration to identify time and process for meeting with Shore Transit and Salisbury University to have these conversations. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 2308, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next item on our agenda is ordinance number 2309 for first reading. This is to designate the no parking area on Riverside Drive for the purpose of adding bike lanes when restriped. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2309.
So moved.
I think I heard Mr. Speed. Second. Mr. Mitchell, second. Mr. Tillman?
Yes, this is first reading of this ordinance to designate the area on Riverside Drive extending from West College Avenue to Mill Street as no parking zones as a result of bike lanes that will be painted along that roadway. So whereas the bike route on Riverside Drive from West College Avenue to Mill Street consists of dedicated bike lanes 6.5 feet wide from West College Avenue to Wycomico Street and 5 feet wide from Wycomico to Mill Street on both sides of the road, per City Project 09-13-INF Salisbury Bike Route Phase 2. And whereas Riverside Drive from West College Avenue to Mill Street is not currently designated a no parking zone, with the exception of no parking located on Riverside Drive adjacent to St. Francis de Sales Church. And whereas any vehicular parking on Riverside Drive from West College to Mill Street could create a potentially unsafe condition for cyclists. And whereas it has been observed that some residents currently park their vehicles on Riverside Drive from West College to Mill Street. And whereas the no parking zone on Riverside from West College to Mill Street should be in effect at all times of the day and on both sides of the road. And whereas the Director of Public Works provided the City Council with a recommendation of the proposed no parking zone at the December 15th, 2014 City Council work session, now therefore be it ordained by the City of Salisbury, Maryland, that Riverside Drive be designated from West College Avenue to Mill Street as a no parking zone. Be it further ordained that this ordinance shall take effect immediately.
Any comments from council? We do have one request for comment from the public. Mr. Drew?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Matt Drew, 301 North Claremont Drive in Salisbury. This almost seems like it'd be a no-brainer. You would think that that anytime a designated bike lane is designated on a city street, it would automatically be designated also as a no parking zone, but as it turns out, that's not the case. One point of clarification, this certainly is going to be an important part of the Phase 2 bike lane route, which is going to be the restriping of the bike lanes that are on Riverside Drive. But just as a point of clarity, that there already is an existing bike lane that's there today. It's probably been there for almost 20 years or so. So the places where people have been parking, are already causing an obstruction for the folks who are trying to use that bike lane. So I would greatly appreciate that you support this ordinance, because I think it's going to be important for making Salisbury a more bicycle-friendly community. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Mitchell?
Yeah, when we talked about this at work session, we kicked around some ideas about the signage and the curbing and painting of the curbs, or various ways that we could ensure that people knew between the distance of those signs that that there was no parking area. Any progress on that front, or thoughts that you could share with us?
Ms. Pollock?
Thank you. The project engineer on the project, Paul Mauser, did contact the police department to talk about signage. And initially, we're going to go ahead and put up 3 extra signs in each direction. There are some signs already on the street from St. Francis towards Mill Street where there is no parking areas. And the police had commented that they will alert us if we need more signs. These are signs that we make internally in our sign shop and we install, so we can put additional signs up at any time if they feel that there are some problem areas where the message didn't get across. So we'll be adding 6 signs in total to begin with, but we'll be working closely with the police department to monitor that.
Okay, thank you.
And Amanda and I were talking before the meeting, there are several signs already out there that I didn't realize were there, that I noticed just the other day.
Right.
So there are quite a few no parking signs already in the area on both sides of Riverside Drive.
Yes, correct.
Any other comments from council?
What have we done to notify the residents there?
We'll be putting out the big light boards, the variable message boards, before we pass, well, once this passes, if it passes second reading, we'll put out the message boards in those areas and to alert the residents that it's coming. It's a long stretch. We could send letters if that's desired, but we were going to start with the message boards and the signage.
Should do it, I would think.
And as a reminder, what's the interval between signs? Do you recall? We had talked about that too, and
I don't have that off the top of my head. I can get that, though.
The last time he said there were three
Three
equivalent
block-
blocks, so
yeah.
I would assume.
One per block.
One per block.
Although the blocks are different sizes, it would be.
Yes,
one
they
per
are.
block.
Yeah, I can check on that.
right, I'm trying to think of how many ingresses there are to Riverside Drive between those two places, and it comes to about probably 8, somewhere around there.
Well, but there are only, it would be, but most of that is signed except for the last 3 blocks. From Georgia to south to North Pinehurst. Actually, no, there are more than that. North Pinehurst to College, and there's Riverview in between, and there's Monticello. So actually, on that side, you might want as many as 2 more. I mean, it's the other side of the street where people actually park, but.
I just feel like maybe the signs should be up between now and second reading. I don't want to wait till second reading, it's done, and then we throw this up there and say, hey, by the way, we took away all the on-street parking. I think I'd rather have people be aware of it so that they can share concerns or other ideas with us ahead of time, before, not after it's already done.
Okay, we can do that.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Any other questions or comments from council? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. And that is our agenda for this evening. Our next work session is January 5th in 2015. Next meeting is January 12th in 2015. And with that, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and we will see you all in 2015.
See you downtown on New Year's Eve.
See you downtown on New Year's Eve. Absolutely. We'll see you there. We're adjourned.